Hi everyone, if you're new to my channel, my name is Kayla and I am documenting my natural hair journey to loose natural from Sisterlocks. I started out with 550 Sisterlocks and I'm in the middle of taking them all down. If you want to be updated on my journey, make sure to subscribe, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Kayla D'Souza Music to get more daily updates on how I'm wearing my hair. Well, for today's video, it's just like what the title says. I'm going to go over the pros and the cons that are particular to me for having Sisterlocks. These may not apply to everybody. Again, this is just specific to what I found were pros and cons, but definitely things to think about if you are getting Sisterlocks or you're thinking about taking them out. So let me first start out by saying Sisterlocks are a very specific type of locking technique for your hair. They are different from dreadlocks in that they are smaller and there's a certain pattern that's used. The way that I was taught about it was you picture a clock as you're holding the hair, if this makes sense. I'll try to put in a picture to make this more clear, but you're looking at the hair and you're holding it, and the way I was taught was you're going through the 9, the 6, the 9, and the 12 when you're looping it through. And so that's what locticians do all the way up, and that is how the Sisterlocks are created, which are different from dreadlocks or traditional locks that are, I believe, usually palm rolled or sometimes are freeform as well. Okay, so the pros and cons for having Sisterlocks. I'll start with the pros first, and I wrote it all down to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, pros for Sisterlocks, it's definitely low maintenance. You can literally roll out of bed and your hair is gonna pretty much look put together. When I was in high school and college and rushing out the door really fast, the least amount of time was spent on my hair. I would just rake my fingers through it to get the tangles out, make sure the part was in the right spot, and that was it. And I was ready to go. So that's definitely a pro. You don't have to really spend any time doing your hair if you don't want to. Another pro is that it's very versatile. You can pretty much do whatever you want with Sisterlocks. You can style it in many of the ways that you can style loose natural hair. You can curl it, make it wavy, any type of style that you want to do, you can definitely do with Sisterlocks. The third pro is that Sisterlocks are resistant to the elements. Getting your hair wet doesn't really matter at all. The only time it would matter is if you curled it or like put some sort of wave into it, and if it got wet, of course, that would go away, but it wouldn't shrink up or get messed up in any way. Okay, so those are the pros that I had listed, and now the cons. One of the cons that I experienced is that my hair was almost too thick, and I'll explain what I mean. When I got my Sisterlocks put in, I was 11 years old, and my loctician at the time had 2 young daughters around my age as well, and she had already locked their hair, and she learned from locking her own daughter's hair that when you're younger, it's better to put in more Sisterlocks because your head is still growing. So what she noticed was the parts in her daughter's hair were expanding as they got older. So she gave me almost twice as many locks as she would have given an adult who was getting Sisterlocks installed. So when my hair started to grow and they started to, and the hair started to really lock, it was like really thick. And it's not like, in the pictures, it's not very visibly thick, but just for me, being able to manage it was a little bit much. I wore my hair down every day, pretty much, like just kind of straight down, because sometimes just putting it in a ponytail was making my arms hurt. Like that was just kind of work for me. And so I kind of stopped styling it when it got really long because it was just a lot more effort in terms of like physically just trying to put it into a ponytail or curling it or anything. Going along with curling it, my hair, what I would do to create waves, I would braid it and basically put it in a braid out. The waves wouldn't stay very long, and I think it's because my hair was just so thick that it didn't stay, and that was really unfortunate because I really liked how my hair looked curly, like when I would either curl it with rollers or doing a braid out. But because it was so thick, that meant I would have to use more braids, and that was just taking a little bit more time than I had at the time. So that was kind of a big con for me. The second con that I had was lint and buildup. I think that's the biggest thing that kind of sparked my interest in taking it down. One day I just noticed a lot of buildup, like a lot in my hair, and I did everything under the sun to try to get rid of it, and none of that was working. So yeah, I was just kind of tired of looking at it just being there and not being able to come out. So that was really unfortunate, but this is avoidable if you wrap your hair up and you don't use product that will create buildup. That was something that I did not do as a kid, and just years and years it accumulated. I mean, it might happen anyway, even if you are careful, but it may not be as bad if you make sure to keep wrapping up your hair and avoiding products that will leave the residue. A third con for Sisterlocks is that it can be very expensive. I was fortunate enough to have a family friend retighten my hair, but I know a lot of locticians charge quite a bit of money, so that wasn't a personal factor for me, but now that my hair is loose natural, I definitely plan to take care of it myself and probably won't be going to salons very much, if ever. If that's something that you're concerned about, like not spending a lot of money on your hair, then that may be a con. Another con for me is soreness. When I would get my hair retightened, it would be very tender. If someone were to touch it, it would kind of be very sensitive to the touch just right after I got it retightened. If my loctician finished my hair at a time that I still could go out or do something for the rest of the day, I would tend not to really plan anything just because I would sometimes have a headache. I don't think that's really because it was too tight necessarily. It's just having the pulling on your hair, you know, for hours and hours makes it a little tender. One thing that I did find that would solve this is using coconut oil, but if you're not able to go home or put coconut oil on your hair before you go out, this might be a con for you. But some people's heads may not be as sensitive to it. But again, that was just a personal thing for me. Another con is if you like long hair, it takes a long time to show its length. When you first get your locks in, your hair will shrink up, and it'll take a while to actually like show its true length. I think when I got my hair put into locks, it was probably about to here. Yeah, that looks right. It was probably about this long. And when I put in the locks, it was like up to here, shrunken. So, and that was fine in the beginning, but if that's something that you want, like if you want to have longer hair, it is going to take a while before it actually shows its true length. And when I say a while, like, I mean years. When I was researching loose natural hair, I was like, wow, people are growing their hair almost as long as mine in like 3 years versus mine took 11 years to actually show its length. Again, if that's something you don't really care about, that may not affect you. And I didn't really care about it at the time either. It did encourage me to go loose natural because I could see how the capability of how fast my hair could grow without the locks as well. My last con, which kind of encompasses some of the other things I said, is that it can kind of get boring. Again, my hair, and it might have also just been laziness, but my hair just it seemed like it took a little bit more effort to put it into different styles. I think because I could just leave it alone and not do anything with it, I tended to just let it hang, and I got bored with that. And I know you're saying, well, when your hair is loose natural, you're going to have to be taking care of it all the time. And for me, I think something that I'm going to have to do is going to give me more incentive to actually style it versus like if I really don't have to, I might start to get a little lazy about it, and then I get bored from the style. So that might just be a thing with me, but it, you know, it might be a little boring just having the same type of look all the time. Again, it is really versatile, which is one of the pros, but since you don't really have to do anything, you might get into this routine of just not touching your hair. So just something to think about. Okay, so those are all my pros and cons. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Also comment any other things that you'd want to see in one of my next videos. Be sure to subscribe. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at Kayla D'Souza Music. You can also follow me on Facebook at the same handle. I will see you next time. Bye! Oh, 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 oh.